Hey everyone, how's it going? I am here with another knife review. Today, something special. It's been out for a little bit now. Spyderco Endura Sprint Run. And it is awesome. Sprint runs, if you're not familiar, are basically like the exclusive or limited editions of Spyderco knives that already exist. They just configure them differently. So they might have different handle material. They usually just change the color of the handle itself, which is what they did here. And they also usually throw in a different type of blade steel. And that's usually it. They have, of course, like their, limited, really high-end ones that are crazy expensive sometimes. This is not one of those. This runs right around $100. Which is, it is more expensive compared to the normal Endura, which is usually right around, I think, I've seen them as cheap as, I think, $55. I think they're usually close to, $60, $65 ballpark. But this is more exclusive. It is a limited supply, so it's a little bit more collectible. It's way more collectible, actually. They've been selling out like crazy ever since they came out a few months back. This kind of came out in the fall around Thanksgiving, if I recall, of 2015. And yes, it just took me this long to finally review it, sorry. I have this bad habit of actually testing the living crap out of the knives before I review it because I like to give you some good solid information. It's also, I don't know if you can see, but I have like denim, like this blue tint in some of the crevices. It's just because I've been carrying it in my jeans. But yeah, so this one, what is so special about it? What is the difference with this Sprint Run? Okay, burnt orange, that's what they used on their, what is that, FRN or whatever polymer this is. It's awesome stuff, by the way, really cool. Burnt orange, I love orange, and I love burnt orange even more. And I don't know how well you can pick it up, but this is like a Longhorn, Texas Longhorn sort of orange. It is awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. It is the coolest looking Endura that I've ever seen. I freaking love it. So as soon as I saw this orange, I knew I had to have it. Now they've done like a big bright hunter orange before, never this burnt orange. So that's new. Another new for Spyderco is, if my camera would like to show you anyway. What does that say? HAP 40 SUS 410. Cool. So this is a laminate blade. What does that mean? It means that it has a core made of HAP 40 and it is cladded on each side with SUS 410 steel. And that is why you see kind of like a hamon almost. Basically, what a hamon is on like a blade that has been clay treated, they harden the cutting edge and they put clay on there and it is kind of wavy and it gives this line. This is a lot more uniform and straight, this line here, but what that is not a difference in heat tempering, but actually a connection point of two different steels. All right, and so what you're seeing is everything from this line down to the cutting edge is HAP 40, and it is cladded, it is sandwiched in between two layers, see if I can pick this up, of SUS 410 blade steel, the full length. And it's on each side, and I believe it's probably to protect it, the HAP 40 that is, to protect it so that way it is more corrosion resistant. It's not a steel that's really highly susceptible to rust or corrosion. It's kind of normal. It's more like a carbon steel, so it definitely will rust. It definitely will corrode if you don't take care of it. Maybe a little easier than some of the other steels out there. What most people compare the HAP 40 to, and I have seen limited testing, but I have seen testing on this that seems to kind of ring true, is that it's very similar blade steel to M4. And M4, as you all know, is very good steel. It's a premium steel. It's probably up there close to you know, like an M390, a 204P blade steel. It's just not quite as well rounded as those steels, in my opinion, because it doesn't offer the corrosion resistance that those steels offer. And so they laminate it, they clad it, they surround it by another steel that's going to handle, you know, moisture, humidity, the elements a little bit better. Now, I've had this for several months, as I've mentioned, and I've used the living crap out of it, and it just seems to find its way into my pocket more often than most of my knives. So I've used it a lot on all sorts of different things, borderline abuse, and I'll get to why, but it's held up very well. The steel has not shown any signs of rust, corrosion of any kind, staining, nothing. And I've cut, I've pried, I even actually slipped and hit concrete right on the tip here, and I just got, it dulled. It just dulled a little bit. It just kind of barely rolled the edge. It didn't even chip the edge. So I was just blown away by that. You know, it's not some magical steel. I'm not trying to make it sound like that. It's a very good steel. From what little research I did on it, other than, you know, me cutting with it like crazy, I hear that some chefs and people in the culinary world call it voodoo steel, because one chef was using it, a well-known one that I don't know, was using it and called it the voodoo steel because he had some, you know, culinary kitchen knives, fancy stuff he was cutting that had HAP 40 in it, and he was cutting with it for days. He's cutting bone, all sorts of stuff, and it just kept on cutting and cutting and cutting, and he, you know, he said that the edge retention was insane, you know, so that's why he called it the voodoo steel. So I think personally it is very good. I would not choose it over M390 or 204P, but I am very much impressed with it. I think it is the best steel that they've ever thrown into an Endura. So yeah, and it's kind of cool because it does have that cladding, it does have that line, it's unique. So I like that. It's something new for Spyderco, and I love the color and the configuration of it all. It is an excellent knife. Now, if you do like the looks of this, or if you just want something that's kind of collectible, that's not going to break the bank, they have this Endura here. They also have the Delica, which is very similar. It's almost the same design. It's just shrunk down a little bit. I think that's, and forgive me for not knowing, I don't have any of them. I've never had one of them. I think that it goes from this 3.9 inch blade down to, I think, I don't know, is it 3 1/4? Something like that. Maybe 3 1/2. But it is smaller. Maybe it's 3. Anyway, look it up. If you're looking for something smaller than this knife, I'd go with that one. If you like the looks of this, you like the orange, you like the steel, or you like the sounds of it, you can get some, and you want something smaller, go get the Delica. It is just as great as this knife in every single way. It is just as well known. It is just as popular. It is just as much an heirloom quality knife that you can hand down to generations. It's gonna just probably outlast you if you take care of it, just like this knife is. And that's saying a lot. I'm really not trying to hype this up falsely. It is that good. Now, if you want something even smaller than that, it sounds like all of their their Seki City, Japan produced knives, which to my knowledge includes the Endura, the Delica, the Dragonfly, and I think the Ladybug. I think that's the smallest one out of Seki City. The Ladybug is like tiny. I think you can hide it like underneath your contact lens in your eye. It's really small. Ladybug's pretty small too. I think that's like a 2 inch, 2.5 inch blade, something like that. But similar in overall design, similar. I love this. I love this one because it is lightweight. Let me show you how lightweight it is. One-handed close. Yes, you can do that very easily. Look at that. What? 3.35 ounces with, you know, rounding up ever so slightly, a 4-inch blade. What? And guess what else? It's rigid. It's durable. It's that lightweight. It's this big, and I honestly feel you could put this into a tactical use if needed. Wouldn't be my #1 go-to. I'm just saying it's reliable. It's durable. This thing holds together. It stays together. It is something that you could definitely fight with if you had to. It's definitely something that can be hard used. No doubt about that. I've been doing that like crazy. And I have this wood fence in my backyard that extends out from the side of my house. It has those gates. So if you open it up, you can drive a truck back in your backyard if you want to drop off, you know, whatever. And one of my gates over time has, you know, the fence posts supporting everything have leaned ever so slightly. You can't really tell until you get to the latch where this fence opens on the door. And it sticks because it's shifted, they've leaned in a little bit and it's rubbing. So I went out there and I'm like, well, what better way to test this on some really, really strong, old galvanized wood. And I just started just chomping away on this wood with this thing, just taking off chunks and just whittling. And I was out there for like probably right around a half hour. And just went to town, and I've had this, like I said, for a month. I've done stuff like that. I've cut carpet. I've cut plastic, like thick plastic, plastic sheets. I was cutting sandbags open, so it's going against sand inside the bags. I've cut plastic bags open, of course, like paper and basic stuff like that. Cut some denim. I was doing some ballistics testing. I cut ribs, pork ribs, because again, ballistics testing. So I had ballistics gel, and I was doing the whole FBI thing, or I was trying to emulate that, where you put denim in front of it. And then I saw other guys on YouTube doing this test, so I was testing some Underwood ammunition that I use in here. This stuff is awesome, by the way. I was testing this stuff out for my concealed carry. Love this gun. There'll be a review coming on that. And I was shooting right through that stuff, but I was cutting all this stuff up with this knife right here. And forgive me as I walk over to try to find my strop. So here's the strop I use, and I need to switch this out. I use the green compound. I clearly need some new leather. I literally just stropped this after all of the abuse, and I might embarrass myself here because I honestly haven't tested this with paper or anything like that. So if this sucks, it's really not that dull. It cuts really well still. I've been cutting with it like crazy, but you know, it still feels like it has a, yeah, wow. That's pretty good. A little duller towards the end, but it's still pretty good. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Not bad, not bad. So it's pretty sweet for what it's seen, and for just stropping it for about 5 minutes. I stropped it. So it definitely is a good steel, and it's a great knife. The Endura, the Delica, any of these Seki City Japan knives for the most part, they're a little deceiving, and a lot of people that don't know Spyderco, that don't know these knives in this form, they really can be misleading, because they kind of see the plastic handle and they're like, oh, that's cheap, isn't it? You know, they just got these rivets. Well, no, there's screws. They go all the way through. You know, and it's not just any old plastic, okay? It's very rigid. It doesn't flex a whole lot. And the main reason why is you have the subframe in here, these steel liners that are, of course, skeletonized, because Spyderco's awesome. And they pay attention to details like that. They wanted to keep this light and rigid, because that's what you're going to want to carry. It's light, it's thin, it's very ergonomic. You have plenty of room for any size hand. Plenty of room on this handle. and you have plenty of blade, and you don't have a whole lot of extra fluff. You know, you don't, the blade to handle ratio is good, and it's very, very sturdy, very solid lockup, no blade play, and there's plenty of good traction on this knife. So it's a real workhorse. The jimping, if I can get this to focus, on the back is exceptional. I wouldn't say it's paramilitary 2 level, but it's beyond adequate. It's not perfect like paramilitary 2, but it's damn good. Very steep thumb ramp, so it really locks into your thumb. I almost wish it was angled a little bit more and then jimped. I think it would be more comfortable, but it's very comfortable, and it really locks in case you're trying to thrust into something. Comes in handy if you're trying to get some downward leverage towards the tip of the blade. You can really torque down with your thumb there. Yeah, so full flat grind. Not all of the Enduras and Delicas and stuff like that always have that. The later models do. I always prefer full flat grind, almost always. A very smooth action for just standard washers. You can totally open and close and sorry about the wiggling here, I'm just trying to zoom out a little bit. You can totally manipulate this blade very easily with one hand, even though it's a lockback design. And you can do it a few different ways. I just take my thumb, you know, I'm holding it, I'm done. I take my thumb and I can either, you know, use a Spidey hole, or I can just prop the back there. Or a real easy way is up against your, you know, say this is my pant leg, push on the back lock, push here, and you can just rotate around. So is it fast to deploy? Yes, very. Very fast. Right? So that gets the job done. Is it quite as fun to play with or quite as easy or super fast to close as maybe like a frame lock or a liner lock? No. But if you're looking for a workhorse, a knife that you can really put through anything within reason, you know, anything that you should be putting your knife through, this can handle it. And smile back at you saying, is that all you got? It's great. Love this knife. For the people that want quad carry, it gives it to you. I wish it didn't have that. I wish you could opt out. I wish it didn't have these extra holes. Not the end of the world, but I don't like them around the pivot area. It's just an opportunity for extra crap to get in there. Does it really matter? No, not really. But it's great for those who want to carry tip down, if there's people out there that still do that. But tip up, guess what? Left and right. How awesome. How awesome is that? Pocket clips, okay. You know, has this integrated, has this hole through it for this lanyard hole. There's some crap in there. So if you want to hook up a lanyard to it, you can do that. I think because it's so long, it carries perfect amount into the pocket. You know, you get this much sticking out, but compared to how much more is in your pocket, that's fine with me. I kind of like that if you have work gloves on or whatever, and you really want to just have an easier time getting this out of your pocket, it's nice having a little bit more sticking out. I would never say that if I didn't have, again, so much more sticking in the pocket. You want to make sure the majority of the mass of the knife is in your pocket to make sure it doesn't fall out. But yeah, this is just such a great design. Very, very functional. Definitely ready for some hard use. And honestly, it's just one of those knives where it's hard to beat the value. This is a knife that's going to give you, even if you go with a non-sprint run, let's say you want an Endura, and you're like, well, I want to spend the least amount possible to get this knife. Like I said, I think you can find them for right around 60 bucks on, let's just say, Amazon and plenty of other places. And you can choose between all sorts of different colors for the handle. Find something you like. And they have some pretty decent steel. I think they're using VG10, which is completely acceptable. Nothing like this steel, but it's very good. And I think for pretty much anybody, as long as you don't mind sharpening your knife maybe just a little bit more, I don't think you're going to mind it, because it has even better corrosion resistance than the HAP 40. I think it would most likely have better corrosion resistance than even the 410 on the outside there. The 410, people were wondering how soft it is. I don't know. I don't really know much about it. Has this knife seen a ton of abuse? Hell yeah. Is it all scratched to shit? Not really. I mean, there are scratches on it, but it doesn't look horrible. If you want this knife to stay looking really, really good, don't buy this knife. This knife's not made for that. This is a work knife. This is something that you are going to use the hell out of, and it's going to last you. It's always going to be around so you can keep on using it. How nice is that? A lot of knives you can't say that about. And for 60 bucks, or 100 in this case, awesome. Now, it was 100, I think it was like 99 or something when I bought it. And I've seen them on the secondary market for much, much more because most places have sold out. I think I've seen these in a couple other places. Check all the standard places. Check Knife Works, Knife Center, GP Knives, Blade HQ. Try all of them. I think a lot of them you're going to see they're sold out, or they might just have the Delica and not the Endura. But I think you will find them if you keep looking around, and you might not have to pay the inflated secondary market price. Again, if you don't really care for this particular version, or you just don't care enough to pay for it, and you want to save the money, go get the $60 ones. They're awesome. What I would humbly recommend is, when you see the ones that are all serrated, you probably don't want that because that's going to be real hard to maintain a nice edge on, and you're probably not going to really need those serrations. This cuts through rope like crazy. I cut through plenty of it, cord, all sorts of stuff. Also, if you can find the later generations, I think it's 4th gen if I recall, because they'll give you the flat grind like this, so you don't have a hollow grind. Hollow grind is going to give you some more drag. It's not going to cut as well when you're cutting through material. So this is going to be a much more well-rounded blade design. So some knife comparisons as far as size, just so you can kind of compare. A smaller Benchmade, really good for everyday carry. I think that's only like a 3 1/4 inch blade. I don't know, 3-inch blade. Yeah, 3-inch blade. Very lightweight, very small. This is the Emissary. Much smaller, as you can see if I line these up. Look how much smaller that is. Tiny. The Boker Quaken. Let's see here. Yeah. Smaller. Right, so what does Boker Quaken have? 3 1/2 inch blade? Yeah, 3 1/2 inch blade, and this one is just under 4. Another comparison for another larger knife is the ever so awesome, almost very much carried, one of my favorite knives in my collection, my ZT0454 204P. What a long mouthful that is. And it may seem quite a bit longer, but that's because A, the blade is a little bit longer, and the handle's definitely longer, which I think you can see that. But the blade's not a whole lot longer. So there's some comparisons. Also, another comparison here. Thickness. Right, significantly thinner. Again, that's one of the perks of this knife. Very comfortable to carry. I think that about covers it, folks. The back lock is not normally my favorite, but when it comes down to these knives, I love it. It is such a great utility blade, camping knife, hunting knife, field prep if you want to prep, skin an animal, gut it. Even a large knife like this, you could totally do it. You could really get on in there. It has a nice slender tip. It's very sharp, holds a great edge, cuts really well. Defensive, tactical, you could do all of that with it. It's got great traction. Again, even on the sides here, I forget what they call this, but it really locks in. It's like a cat's tongue, It just pulls your skin on your finger. So very good. Just a well-rounded knife, and honestly, for the $1, it's really hard to beat this. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Please subscribe and like if you haven't already, and as always, please feel free to give me your comments and feedback It's always very much appreciated. Take care.